Every now and then an event happens that reminds us just how much we take for granted. And one of those things is freedom. A lot of people think they don't have any freedom. For example, they're in a relationship that they're stuck in that they don't like, or a job with a boss that they don't like, and the only reason they're there is because it pays the bills, puts a roof over their head, and that they feel like a prisoner and they're stuck. Well, in most of the world, you have the freedom to leave. You just think that if you don't, that you are going to be out on the street, no roof over your head, no food, you will be destitute, and that will be the end of life as you know it. Well, for those who think like that, you need to read my book, Instructions for a New Life. Yes, you might lose everything for a while. Yes, you might be in dire straits, but you will probably never have a situation where you have nothing to eat or where you don't have a roof over your head, because there are places that offer free food and housing for those who need it. So that's just kind of a fear-based excuse. That is nothing compared to some places in the world where they truly have no freedom. And because of world events lately, I think some people are realizing that their problems are really nothing compared to what some other people are facing in the world. For example, your house is not being bombed. Now, I know some people like my mom, for example, live in an area where tornadoes happen every other week and houses get ripped apart and people are left homeless. But usually for some reason, those people don't live in fear. If it happens, and then they deal with it. But they don't live their entire life fearing that at any moment a tornado could rip their house apart. If it happens, they deal with it. And that's how most people should be. If something happens, you deal with it, but you don't live your life in fear. You don't make your life's decisions based on something that might never happen. And if it does, you deal with it, move through it, and become a more evolved person because of it. Most people that went through hardships ended up being better off than they were before because they learned from those hardships, and a lot of times ended up better off financially, in relationships, and health-wise. Most people that change their health don't do it because they want to. They do it because they had a health challenge. Something happened, it scared them, they changed. Most people want to live in comfort for as long as they can, and then when something bad happens, they change at the last minute. It's kind of like the mentality of, well, if the airplane is crashing, I'm just going to jump off at the last second and I'll be fine. That's how people think, but that's not how life is. The earlier on that you prepare for stuff, the better off you'll be. Catastrophes do happen, and many of them are unavoidable, but those people who survive these catastrophes, and most people do, if they learn from it, they end up better off on the other side. I know this kind of stuff is difficult for a lot of people to digest. They're in victim mode. They think that there's nothing they can do about it and that they're just a victim and that's that. And that people like me are lucky and that we got it made and we just lucked into it and gee, it'd be nice to be like, yeah. You don't realize what I've been through in my life. Those people who think like that, I was broke many times over. I was penniless. I was living in someone's closet. I almost died 3 times because of health reasons. I did not have a great, easygoing life. I mean, I got better in the last maybe 15 years because of the things that I learned. If I didn't go through those hardships, I would not be where I am today. I would probably still be not well off. A lot of people that think that money will solve their problems, how many poor people win the lottery and then end up being broke again 2 years later because they blew all the money because they didn't know how to deal with it. They weren't used to handling money. You have to learn the hard way. Everybody thinks that, oh yeah, I know how to do that. I know everything. I know how to do that. Give me the possibility and I will be fine with it. I used to think that way too. Usually I thought I could handle anything, but I couldn't. I had to go through the hard stuff in order to learn how to get through it and deal with it next time. Anyway, read Instructions for a New Life. It's just a pocketbook. It doesn't cost much. This could change your life. It's at newlifebook.com. I wrote it originally for people in jail, in prison, who, when they were let out, wouldn't know where to start because society didn't want them anymore. And then I realized after a while, most people feel like they're in some kind of prison or jail. They're in a relationship prison or a financial prison or a health prison. Every few days, I get an email or a comment in the comment section from somebody saying, I read the book, I tried all this stuff, I watched your videos, I'm just not any better off. I'm still broke, I'm still not well off. Simply just reading something or watching something is not going to make your life better. You have to get it. You have to understand it. And in order to understand it, it's not just a matter of theory. You have to go through some of this stuff. You have to be able to understand the situation by experiencing it firsthand. Like, you got to go through boot camp to become a good soldier. You have to go through school to learn certain things. And the only way to do that is the school of hard knocks. You have to learn the lessons. Just reading a book isn't going to do that. It'll help. It'll help you understand a situation. It might give you patience. It might help you understand why you're going through it, but you got to go through it. There is no shortcut. There is no get out of jail quick card. You have to do the time. I did the time. But if I had this book way back when I was going through what I was going through, I would have realized why I was going through it, and I would have had a little more patience to allow myself to experience all that. The best parents are the ones who let their children fall down and know what it's like and to experience tough love. You can't just smother people with protection all the time. They have to learn to fall and get back up. And getting back to the original subject of being stuck in a relationship because of children, you think the kids don't pick up on this stuff? You think they don't realize that you're unhappy? What are you trying to teach them? That life is just miserable and that's the way it should be, that anybody who gets in a relationship is going to be miserable? Or are you going to teach them that, hey, sometimes things don't work out and you're going to have a tough time originally, but you will prevail and you will make it through that. And at some point, you will be better off because of it. You'll be given a second chance. So when that child starts growing up and they start going through bad situations, they will realize, oh, I've seen this before. This is something that you make it through and there is another end waiting and we will prevail eventually. But if they are coddled their whole life and they don't realize that there's bad situations, they won't be ready for it. It's better to prepare them for it earlier on and make them realize there's going to be some tough times. And you will make it if you prevail correctly. There is no real excuse for not experiencing your own freedom. Stand up for what's the right thing in your life. Don't fear the payment you have to go through and the price and the pain you have to go through to get to the other side. Most people pay for a better life with pain. They have to go through something that makes that a worthy reward, however you say it. Most people that end up having what we call great life, they got there through a lot of hardships and pain. I know I did. And it doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come easy. And the ones who are gifted the good life, they don't appreciate it and they end up squandering it and they end up pretty miserable. I've known a lot of people in Beverly Hills who were very unhappy and almost suicidal, even though they had all the riches and all the things that we dream about. And then I've seen people who barely had anything and they were happier and they were more at peace with life and they felt content and they were more appreciative of life itself. Again, almost everything is relative. When you think you're not doing well, realize there's always someone else a lot worse off than you. And you need to learn to be a little bit more thankful for the things you have, even if all you have is the fact that you're alive and that the sun is shining and the birds are chirping. Find something to be thankful for, because there is always something to be thankful for. And finding something to be thankful for is the first step to true freedom.